This is a storm drain.
This is a storm drain.
This is a storm drain.
And this is where it leads.
And here is where it goes.
This is where stormwater winds up.
Stormwater is rain that washes off driveways, parking lots, rooftops, bare soil, and lawns. It picks up pollutants such as bacteria, chemicals, dirt and trash, and washes them into creeks, rivers, sounds, or the ocean. Storm drains, like those found along curbs, do not go to wastewater treatment plants. Storm drains send untreated runoff into North Carolina's waterways. A watershed is the surrounding land area that drains into a stream. Many watersheds occur in the more than 6,000 square miles of North Carolina that drain into the Neuse River. Welcome to the Neuse River Basin. This area of the state contains some towns you might have heard of: Raleigh, Durham, Kinston, Goldsboro, Havelock, and many others. The Neuse flows close to or through these highly populated and fast-growing areas on its way to the Albemarle-Pamlico Sound, one of the most important areas in the country for aquatic species, such as commercially harvested fish. Stormwater runoff is a big issue for all the towns, big or small, in the Neuse River Basin. And these towns are growing. More and more people are moving into the cities to live and work, a process called urbanization. More than 80% of the U.S. population now lives on major streams and coastal zones. Cities are absolutely full of impervious or hard surfaces such as sidewalks, streets, and rooftops that don't allow water to seep into the soil after a rainfall. Research has shown there is a decline in nearby stream water quality when only about 10% of an area is covered by impervious surfaces. Some places have way more than that. When rain does not seep into the ground, then natural processes no longer filter it before it reaches a body of water. Instead, runoff water travels quickly to streams and creeks and is able to pick up and carry more sediment and pollution. The runoff from a typical American city during the first hour of a rainstorm may carry more pollutants than that same city's untreated sewage would during the same period. Stream erosion is caused by storm water swiftly carried to waterways during rain events. When storm water is routed through pipes to nearby streams and rivers, it picks up speed. As a result, the storm water entering streams from drainage pipes scours away the stream beds and erodes the stream banks. All this erosion adds sediment to the water, which has devastating effects on stream ecosystems. Sediment buries aquatic insect life and suffocates fish. Sediment deposited in the Neuse River has even altered its course. Sediment is the #1 pollutant in the country and in North Carolina. Development is a primary source of sediment pollution, since it comes from anywhere the soil is disturbed and allowed to enter waterways. Erosion on a construction site may be 10,000 times that of undeveloped land. Urban runoff typically contains elevated levels of pathogenic organisms. Potential disease-causing organisms may be delivered to waterways in runoff containing sewer overflows, septic tank wastes, and animal wastes. These organisms live in the intestines of humans and animals, and some will eventually enter streams and rivers in runoff. Bacterial contamination may result in water body impairment, such as closed beaches, contaminated drinking water sources, and shellfish bed closings. In North Carolina, about 18%, or almost 400,000 acres of shellfish beds have been closed due to bacterial problems made worse by polluted stormwater. Fertilizers may help plants grow, but when applied in excessive amounts, they can harm water quality and aquatic ecosystems. Nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus are carried by runoff into the nearest lake, stream, or river, where they can trigger the rapid growth of algae and aquatic weeds. Cities and suburban areas are full of another pollution source as well: vehicles. Oil, antifreeze, and other fluids often leak from cars onto parking lots or are spilled during maintenance. 1 quart of oil can contaminate 1 million gallons of water. Auto exhaust is also a source of metal dust and nitrogen. 30 pounds of nitrogen can come from a vehicle tailpipe in 1 year. Heavy metals, industrial solvents, petroleum products, lawn care products, and many common household products are washed into our waters daily. Millions of people use ammonia-based cleaners, car waxes, paints, degreasers, and ant and roach killers, some of which find their way into stormwater runoff. Lawn care products such as pesticides can be transported by wind, rain, or groundwater to lakes and streams. Aquatic organisms may concentrate these chemicals in their bodies well above the average concentration in water. Some of the easiest stormwater pollution to spot is trash. Litter of all types eventually finds its way into the Neuse River. After a heavy rainfall, flooding may be the most immediate problem from stormwater runoff. 27,200 gallons of water fall in 1 acre during a 1-inch rainfall. According to the Center for Watershed Protection, 16 times more water comes off a 1-acre parking lot than 1 acre of meadow. Because much less water seeps into the ground in urban areas, there is less to add to groundwater. Eutrophication, or excess nutrients in a water body, can stimulate algal blooms. When the blooms die off, oxygen in the water is consumed. When dissolved oxygen levels fall below certain values, fish and other aquatic creatures can no longer survive. Fish kills are a common occurrence on the Neuse River. Dealing with the negative consequences of stormwater runoff and pollution, as well as planning on how to handle more of it as areas in the Neuse River Basin urbanize, is a very expensive business. The City of Raleigh has allocated $12 million of its annual budget to handle stormwater. Town and city administrators throughout the entire Neuse River Basin are having to deal with planning and development difficulties associated with stormwater.
We have a variety of rules that are addressing stormwater in North Carolina. We have the TAR-PAMLICO rules, and they address phosphorus and nitrogen. We have the Neuse rules, which address nitrogen. We also have Phase 1, and we have Phase 2. Phase 1 began in 1992. Phase 1 asked large cities, and that was a federal mandate, it happened all over the United States, to address their stormwater. And in Phase 1, the urban cities, there are 6 of them in North Carolina, worked in unison and with their residents to address the stormwater problems that they had. The idea is to capture the stormwater, slow it down, because the quantity of stormwater is also a problem. About 3 years ago, the federal government realized that Phase 1 was doing a good job, but it wasn't doing a big enough job. So they implemented Phase 2 of the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, NPDES. That's why we call it Phase 2. It's a lot shorter. In Phase 2, you're looking at 3 different types of cities. The medium cities, because Phase 1 already took care of the large cities. We're looking at medium cities, small cities that are growing very fast. Think about bedroom communities, perhaps maybe outside Charlotte or outside Wilmington. They're experiencing a lot of development, and we need to take care of them. And then there are the cities that I call, I don't care what size you are, but you're near nutrient-sensitive waters.
One such community, Riverbend, a town of about 3,000 people near New Bern, has been proactive in its efforts to handle stormwater. Too small to be part of the Phase 2 regulations at this time, the town has acted on its own to install structures that help handle runoff. Permeable pavement at the police department and a stormwater wetland help slow the flow of runoff and allow increased infiltration.
Riverbend is like many towns in North Carolina that use best management practices, or BMPs, to control the flow of their stormwater. There are a variety of BMPs in use today. Wet ponds are the most commonly used BMP and have been in use for several years. They are mainly used to control water volume and large-scale flooding. Lately, wet ponds have also been used to provide water for communities in times of drought. In addition to controlling flooding, they can be used to improve the water quality of runoff. Wet ponds remove about 70% of sediment and even more for total suspended solids. Pollutants such as phosphorus and pesticides are absorbed into the sediment and are removed at a high rate. Stormwater wetlands are a popular BMP used in urban environments. They are similar to wet ponds but rarely exceed 1.5 feet deep and are mainly used to maximize flow path. Studies show that nearly 80% of total suspended solids and overall about 40% of the nitrate that enters the system is removed. Bioretention areas or rain gardens maintain stormwater for a relatively short time compared to wet ponds or stormwater wetlands and usually drain in the 48 hours following a large storm. Because of the short detention time, a variety of plants can be planted, such as redbuds, dogwoods, and irises. Green roofs, also known as eco-roofs or nature roofs, are a multi-beneficial structure that reduce the effects of urbanization on water quality through filtration, absorption, and detention of rainfall. The plants on a green roof are carefully selected for species that can survive harsh, dry, and hot conditions with short periods of rainfall. Green roofs reduce the volume and rate of runoff that would be much larger on a typical roof. They also have other benefits including treating nitrogen pollution, reducing summer air conditioning costs, and lengthening roof life. Permeable pavement is an alternative to asphalt or concrete. It allows stormwater to drain through and can also filter out pollutants.
At construction sites, silt fences are helpful in reducing sediment leaving the site. Also, large piles of dirt or fill material can be seeded with grass to reduce erosion. There are lots of things citizens can do to reduce stormwater pollution. If enough people change a few habits, the result can have a large impact on water quality. Grass clippings and fertilizer should not be left in the street or curb where they can be carried to a storm drain. It's easy to sweep them back into your yard. Washing your car on the grass helps keep waxes and car wash liquids out of storm drains. When you change your oil at home, be sure to take it to a place that recycles waste oil. Many communities have collection sites at a certain location. Believe it or not, pet waste is a very big source of bacterial and nutrient pollution. There are about 23 million fecal coliform bacteria in just 1 gram of dog waste. And if you add up Forsyth, Guilford, and Randolph counties, there is 30,000 pounds of dog waste produced every day. Many trails and parks now have stations where you can find a bag to put dog waste in for disposal in a trash can. There are also some communities which impose a hefty fine on dog owners who do not clean up behind their pets.
So who is keeping track of the Neuse River? The Center for Applied Aquatic Ecology at North Carolina State University in Raleigh is part of a network of organizations that monitors the Neuse River and estuary. Scientists at the center have been sampling on the Neuse since 1993. The main area studied by the center is from Mills Branch, just upriver from New Bern, down to Cherry Point, about 26 miles. The water samples are collected using a water column sampler. The sample is divided into 2 buckets, one for the upper 1.5 meters and the other for the lower 1.5 meters. The water is then poured into special containers and preserved immediately. The samples are kept on ice and coolers and returned to the laboratory for analysis. The center is a state-certified laboratory that analyzes ammonia, nitrate, total Kjeldahl nitrogen, total organic carbon, orthophosphate, total phosphorus, suspended solids, and chlorophyll A in the water. Along with the nutrients, there are important physical parameters that are measured as well. A Hydrolab multiprobe measures the temperature, pH, salinity, and dissolved oxygen. Another important measurement is taken with a simple 8-inch disc called a Secchi disc. The Secchi disc measures the transparency of the water. It is lowered off the side of the boat, and the depth is measured from where you can no longer see it. 2 individuals are actively involved in protecting the Neuse River, the Upper and Lower Neuse River Keepers. Working with the Neuse River Foundation, they monitor the watershed by boat and by plane. They respond to citizens' complaints and work with regulatory agencies to enforce environmental regulations. They are the eyes, ears, nose, and voice of the Neuse, which cannot speak for itself. Between 1982 and 2002, the Neuse River Basin lost a total of 226,000 acres of its cropland and 154,000 acres of its forest land. The Neuse River Basin saw a 123% increase in developed land, with 313,000 acres of development. Without clean water, our state will be unable to continue to support growth. Preserving water quality is vital to our health and the economy of North Carolina. The census projections for the next 20 years predict an increase of 34%, or 2.9 million people in North Carolina. About 1,300,000 people live in the Neuse Basin. 13% of it is urban.
Scientists think the Neuse River is about 2 million years old. It flows into one of the most important habitats for fish species on the East Coast. Every day, people in the Neuse River Basin make their livings, or just enjoy their lives, along this river. What do you want to see in your storm drain?